Hello and welcome to episode number 2 of our 1930s wrestling series. Of course, this is Al Rigby Promotions, and the subsidiary of Al Rigby Promotions, of course, is TNA Wrestling, and that is what we're booking here today. We are live in front of 5,000 people at the Courtney Centre. This is TNA All-Star Wrestling live on the radio. Floyd Marshall 48, Sheik Malley 46 in a decent match. Floyd Marshall defeats Sheik Malley in 9:44 by pinfall. No work appearance of 49D+, can't complain. Let's move on. In a decent match, Paul Murdoch, Martino, Angelo, Salvador Flores, and Marty Levy defeat Andy Brown, Alfresh, Miles McLean, and Gentleman Jim Lewis in 10:20. When Salvador Flores defeat Gentleman Jim Lewis by pinfall. Marty Levy 46, Salvador Flores 44, Martino, Angelo 55, Paul Murdoch 59, Gentleman Jim Lewis 40, Miles McLean 58, Alfresh 42, Andy Brown 46, Andy Brown in performance 54C-. In a superb match, Vic Christie defeated Jesse James in 14:33 by pinfall. Vic Christie makes defense number 7 of his TNA Intercontinental Championship. Jesse James 48, Vic Christie 82, no work on 74B-. Vic Christie celebrating his victory in the ring when Jack Sherry runs in attacks, beating down Christie. Also announcing for our, what are we in July? For our TNA Super Show in July, because I'm now doing this. It's going to be Vuppy Power as Jack Sherry takes on Vic Christie. Way out of time. That's 1960s, I think that first ever aired. 77B, there's a few angles like this tonight. There's a cut 2 of them. Oh, 3 of them actually. In a decent match, Ali Houston's defeat Toots Esther in 12:01 by pinfall. Toots Esther 49, Ali Houston 53. No opponents with 4C-. Remember, we're live on the radio tonight. Oh, shoulder sprain. That's nice. In about good rate wrestling and good heat. Jim Bowring, Mike Romero, Laurie McGurk, and Joe Montana defeated Babe Cadlock, Bull Corey, Colin McKee, and Jim Henry in 15:40 when Jim Bowring defeated Jim Henry by pinfall. Joe Montana 77, Laurie McGurk 59, Mike Romero 59, Jim Bowring 92, Jim Henry 59, Colic McCurkey 53, Bull Corey 66, Babe Cadlock 60, Laurie McGurk in performance, Jim Bowring in performance, and Joe Montana in performance 75B-. Not bad. In above fantasy and great wrestling, Bulldog Bill Ganning defeated Bonnie Marr in 8:09 by pinfall. Bulldog Bill Ganning 67, Bonnie Marr 74, no work with 72B-. In above a great heat and decent wrestling, Charo Aguero defeated Johnny Plummer in 8:03 by pinfall. Johnny Plummer 47, Charo Aguero 54. He's debuted his amateur style wrestling gimmick 54C-. In an exceptional match, Hamid DeGlane defeated Sandor Sazbo in 14:49 by pinfall. Hamid DeGlane 83, Sandor Sazbo 74, no recurrence 81B, not bad. After the match, Hamid DeGlane celebrates victory in the ring when Bulldog Bill Gannon runs in and attacks, beating down Glane to the mat. This is going to happen 3 times tonight. I'm sorry that the angles are very similar, but I'm not going to be writing out angles because we're on radio and it doesn't work. If it was on TV and there's cameras and stuff, I would be going for studio style wrestling, but Henry DeGlane versus Bulldog Bill Gannon as well at the Super Show in July. We'll see, not bad. In an exceptional match, Tiny Roebuck defeated Ed Don George in 15:27 by pinfall. Tiny Roebuck 72, Ed Don George 79, no work for 79B. In above fantasy and great wrestling, Man Mountain Dean defeated Joe Stretch in 20:07 by pinfall. The double underhook suplex. Joe Stretch 65, Man Mountain Dean 74, no work for 73B-. In an exceptional match, Jim Lomdis defeated Jack Sherry in 25:22 by pinfall. The airplane spin following interference from Vic Christie. Jim Lomdis makes defense number 4 of his TNA World Heavyweight title. Jack Sherry 83, Jim Lomdis 93. Jack Sherry in Rumble in performance. Intercontinental title on storyline time for that. A2B. And to close out the night, Jim Lomdis celebrates victory when Ed the Strangle Lewis runs in and attacks, beating Lewis down to the mat and walking away with the title. Of course, that doesn't mean he keeps the title. He just grabs the title, poses with it, and then leaves the ring. Ed the Strangle Lewis versus Jim Lomdis is going to be our ongoing storyline, which is one of the biggest ones for the world title over the next few weeks. We're going to end the show there in front of 5,000 people. We've got an 80B. That is one of the, I think that's quite a good show. We'll see you guys for this Super Show in 2 weeks' time. Thanks for watching. We're not sold out tonight like we were for TNA All Stars, but we have got 4,861 people at the Winchester County Centre. And in an exceptional match which opens up the night, Vic Chris defeated Jack Sherry in 1450 by pinfall. Vic Chris makes defense number 8 of the Intercontinental Championship. Jack Sherry 74, Vic Christie 75, these two don't quick. Rumble, Vic Christie in Rumble, and Jack Sherry in performance 78B. Which is annoying because there's a storyline going on with them. In above our great heat and decent wrestling, Sandal, Sazbo defeated Mark 11 in 11:34 by pin the death swing. Sando, Sazbo 71, Marty Levy 42, no work agreements, 63C. In a decent match, Gentleman Jim Lewis and Myers McLean defeat Toots Esty and Salvador Flores in 12:18 when Gentleman Jim Lewis defeated Toots Esty by pinfall. Salvador Flores 46, Toots Esty 51, Marty McLean 59 and Gentleman Jim Lewis 45. Toots Esty in performance and Gentleman Jim Lewis in performance 55C-. In a decent match, Mike Romero defeated George Sanders in 15:09 by pinfall. George Sanders 28, Mike Romero 53. No agreements. He's on an all-night league deal. Someone does return tonight, so we won't have that problem anymore. And I'm quite happy he's back. In a decent match, Sheik Ali defeated Floyd Marshall in 7:56 by pinfall. Floyd Marshall 49, Sheik Ali 44. No agreements 49D+. Bless you, cat. In a decent match, Paul Murdoch defeated Eli Flesh in 13:05 by pinfall. Paul Murdoch 54, Eli Flesh 38, no work agreements, 50D+, these two don't click, blah blah blah. In about fantasy and good wrestling, Bull Corey defeated Char Aguero in 13:02 by pinfall. Bull Corey 70, Char Aguero 52, no work agreements, 60D+. In a good match, Joe Montana, Jesse James and Babe Cadhot defeated Johnny Plummer. Joe Montana and Jesse James defeated Babe Cadhot and Johnny Plummer 11:28 when Joe Montana defeated Johnny Plummer by pinfall. Jesse James 54, Joe Montana 76, Johnny Plummer 47, Babe Cadlock in 62, Joe Montana in performance 67C+. Not bad. In a decent match, Laurie McGurk, Bonnie Marr and Martino Angelo defeated Andy Brown, Colic McKee and Jim Henry in 12:36 when Bonnie Marr defeated Jim Henry by pinfall. Martino Angelo 55, Bonnie Marr 71, Laurie McGurk 56, Jim Henry 61, Colic McKee 58, and Andy Brown 49. Lloyd McGurk improving in form 65C. Not bad at all. In an exceptional match, Ali Houston, Man Mountain Dean and Ed Don George defeat Tiny Roebuck, Joe Stretch and Jim Bowring in 14:40 when Ed Don George defeat Jim Bowring by pinfall. Jim Bowring 84, Joe Stretch 74, Tiny Roebuck 72, Ed Don George 82, Man Mountain Dean 69, Ali Houston 54. Ed Don George improving in Rumble 77B. In an exceptional match, Bulldog Bill Garnon defeated Henry DeGlane in 25:29 by pinfall with a handful of tights. Bulldog Bill Gran 66, Henry DeGlane 83, no 0.67C+. In an exceptional match, Jim Londis defeated Ed the Strangler Lewis in 35:11 by pinfall with the airplane slam. Jim Londis makes defense number 5 of his TNA heavyweight title. Ed the Strangler Lewis 91, Jim Londis 93, no recommend 70C+. After the match, Jim Londis celebrates victory in the ring when Mr. X returns and he runs in, beating Jim Londis down to the mat. That's how we end the show with an 81B. 71C+, increased our popularity in all 3 regions. Can't complain with that. I'll see you guys next month for TNA All Stars. Thanks for watching. We're in August of our first, our first year ends in December, but kind of our first year in business. Year 1 of TNA Wrestling. We've got 5,000 people again tonight. Our opening matches, Marty Angelo, Toots Esther, Salvador Flores, and Marty Levy defeating Gentleman Jim Lewis, Sheik Mali, Al Flesh, and Myers McLean in 12:05 when Marty Levy defeated Jim Lewis by pinfall. Marty Levy 43, Salvador Flores 45, Toots Esther 48, Marty Angelo 55, Myers McLean 61, Al Flesh 44, Sheik Mali 47, and Gentleman Jim Lewis 44. Salvador Flores in Rumble and Performance. Well done, Salvador. You get a nice tick. 55C-. Not a bad match, really. To open up the night. I don't think we could have done much better with that one. In an exceptional match, Jack Sherry and Henry DeGlane defeated Vic Christie and Bulldog Bill Gannon in 7:54 when Henry DeGlane defeated Bulldog Bill Gannon by pinfall. Henry DeGlane 82, Jack Sherry 77, Bulldog Bill Gannon 68, and Vic Christie 81. Jack Sherry in Rumble and Performance and Bulldog Bill Gannon in Performance. Right, before we go on, 76B-. In the game's universe, Alcatraz has just opened its doors. Hitler has just grown to power, is gaining more power after the death of someone in Germany. And World War II is a few years away yet, but it's starting to appear. The first mention of Hitler's happened, so we'll see what happens as the universe continues to grow and World War II is upon us and other things for us. But in an exceptional match, Ed Don George defeated Tiny Roebuck in 2030 by pinfall handful of attacks. Ed Don George 89, Tiny Roebuck 69, Tiny Roebuck in performance 71C+. Well, that's not too bad. In a decent match, Andy Brown defeated Floyd Marshall in 48 by pinfall. Floyd Marshall 46, Andy Brown 45, Andy Brown and Floyd Marshall in performance 48D+. In about a good wrestling, a decent wrestling crowd, Babe Canthock, Bill Curry, Colic McKee and Jim Henry defeat Joe Montana, Laurie McGurk, Mike Mayer and Paul Murdoch in 15-20, when Jim Henry defeated Paul Murdoch by pinfall. Paul Murdoch 59, Mike Romero 58, Laurie McGurk 58, Joe Montana 77, Jim Henry 59, Colin McCurk 58, Bill Corey 68, and Babe Canthock 59. Colin McCurk in performance, Laurie McGurk in performance, and Jim Henry in performance 69C+. Beautiful. In an exceptional match, Jim Barron defeated Man and Dean in 14:32 by pinfall. Man and Dean 69, Jim Barron 90. He's also improved in performance 71C+. In a good match, Bonnie Marr defeated Alan Eustace in 1940 by pinfall. Bonnie Marr 69, Ali Eustace 53. Ali Eustace in performance 59C, not bad. In about that decent wrestling, Charioro defeated Johnny Plummer in 15:23 by pinfall. Charioro 48, Johnny Plummer 48, Noah Chris 50D+. In about the fantasy and good wrestling, Sandal Sazbu defeated Jesse James in 85 by pinfall the ringlock suplex. Sandal Sabu 71, Jesse James 53, Jesse James performance 67C+. In an exceptional match, our main event of the night, Ed the Strangler Lewis and Mr. X defeat Joe Stretch and Jim Londus in 24:31 when Mr. X defeated Jim Londus by pinfall. Joe Stretch 3 link. Jim Londus 93, Joe Stretch 74, Mr. X 92, Ed Strangler Lewis 91. Jim Londus in performance. The match suffered because of not selling. After that bloody brutal win by Mr. X. He's back. Just put it out there. Mr. X is back. And he'll be facing Jim Londus for that title in 2 weeks' time. You'll get the rest of the show as it happens. But thank you for watching this one. We'll get a 79B. Increase our popularity in 3 regions. He's always seemed to do better in the super shows, so that's something. We'll see you guys live in a few weeks' time for TNA, the end of the month super show of August. Hello and welcome back to the August super show. For the 4,801 at the Winchester County Centre, In a decent match, Tutcester, Salvador Flores and Marty Levy defeated Gentleman Lewis, Sheik Ali, and Miles McLean in 14:34, where Marty Levy defeated Short Ali by pinfall. Marty Levy 48, Salvador Flores 46, Tutcester 47, Miles McLean 63, Sheik Ali 48, Gentleman Jim Lewis 47, Nowhere points 56C-. I had to calm down Marcus McLean after the match. He was upset with Marty Levy, almost injured him with a botched move. Blah, blah, blah. In a decent match, El Flesh defeated Martino Angelo in 10:31 by pinfall flying tackle. Martino Angelo 53, El Flesh 41, no recommends 51D+. In a decent match, Colin McKee and Andy Brown defeated Paul Murdoch and Floyd Marshall in 13:11 when Andy Brown defeated Paul Murdoch by pinfall. Floyd Marshall 49, Paul Murdoch 60, Andy Brown 42, Colin McKee 54, no recommends 56C-. Quite a good show so far. In about a decent, good wrestling and a decent wrestling crowd, Jesse James defeated Bull Curry in 12:49 by pinfall. Bull Curry 74, Jesse James 54. These two have great chemistry, showing for 71C+. In an exceptional match, Vic Christie defeated Jack Sherry in 1956 by pinfall. Vic Christie makes defense number 9 of his TNA Intercontinental Championship title. Jack Sherry 72, Vic Christie 74. Vic Christie in Rumble and Jack Sherry improving in performance 77B. In about the fantasy and great wrestling, Bonnie Marr defeated Sandor Sazobo in 14:49 by pinfall. Sandor Sazbo 68, Bonnie Marr 66, no occurrence 56C-. Just move on from that one. In about the great wrestling and a decent reaction from the crowd, great heat and decent wrestling, Char Algueri defeated Ali Eustace in 14:56 by pinfall. Ali Eustace 58, Char Algueri 48, no occurrence 57C-. In the next sexual match, Tiny Rubock defeated Jim Henry in 14:46 by pinfall. Tiny Rubock 86, Jim Henry 65. No occurrence in ATB, not bad. In a decent match, Johnny Plummer defeated Lloyd McGurk in 15:42 by pinfall. Lloyd McGurk 61, Johnny Plummer 37. Lloyd McGurk in performance 55 C-. I think Johnny Plummer needs to be built on the side. He needs short matches, blah blah blah. In the Battle Fantasy Heat and Great Wrestling, Joe Stretch defeated Man Mountain Dean in 16:20 by submission on the body scissors. Joe Stretch 74, Man Mountain Dean 65. No occurrence 72 B-. In an exhibition match, Ed the Strangler Lewis, Bulldog Bill Gran, and Ed Don George defeat Henry DeGlane, Jim Bowring, and Mark Romero in 25:55. When Ed the Strangler Lewis defeated Henry DeGlane by pinfall. Mark Lewin 55, Jim Bowring 72, Henry DeGlane 80, Ed Don George 81, Bulldog Bill Gunn 65, Ed Strangler Lewis 86, Ed Strangler Lewis in performance, Jim Bowring in performance, and Mark Romero in Rumble 78B. In Battle Fantasy and Great Wrestling, Babe Caddock defeated Joe Montana in 15:05 by pinfall. Babe Caddock 54, Joe Montana 74, no work from 70C+. In the next session match, Jim Londos defeated Mr. X in 24:42 by pinfall the Airplane Slam. Jim Londos makes defense number 6 of his TNA World Heavyweight title. Mr. X 92, Jim Londos 93. Mr. X in performance and Jim Londos in performance in 81B. We're going to end the show there. 79B. Not bad. I can't complain with that, to be honest. That was a good show. We're going to give Jim Londos, Mr. X, and Ed the Strangler Lewis as our top guys tonight. Praised, and praised. I'm going to make that speech. He was very happy, was happy, and was very happy. Awesome. We'll see you guys live here in 2 weeks' time for TNA All-Star Wrestling. Welcome back to this humongous show I've just built. 5 people have been stabbed at Manchester Arndale Centre today, which is lovely to read as soon as you log on to a website. How are we all doing? Everybody okay? You can join this episode. We're in September. I've got to get through to January. My head is already hurting. Oh, can I get back to Impact Wrestling Ring of Honor and all that lot? Ugh. I've made a decision. This is going to happen every couple of weeks because it's just difficult to do because of what situation and the year it's in. It might change, but for now, we're going to do one a week. If I continue to struggle, then yes, it will go to twice a week. There were 4,979 people at the Richwood Grove tonight, which seems to be a hotbed for wrestling, so we thought we'd go and do shows from there from now on. Jesse James, Paul Murdoch, Tex Esther, Salvador Flores, and Marty Levy defeated Gentleman Jim Lewis, Sheik Mali, Al Fresher, Andy Brown, and Mars McLean in 24 minutes 43, when Paul Murdoch defeated Gentleman Lewis by pinfall, 50-60-. Marty Levy 47, Salvador 44. Can you stop moving? Thank you. Tess Esther 47, Paul Murdoch 61, Jesse James 51, Mars McLean 61, Andy Brown 48, Al Flesh 46, Sheikh Ali 47, and Gentleman Jim Lewis 48. No record Bruce 50-60-. Not bad. In a decent match, Floyd Marshall defeated Colic McKee in 11:35 by pinfall. Floyd Marshall 46, Colic McKee 59. No work Bruce 40-60. Not bad. In a decent match, Marty Angelo defeated Johnny Plummer in 13:25 by pinfall. Marty Angelo 55, Johnny Plummer 45. No work Bruce 53C-. In about a good wrestling in detachment card, Jim Henry and Bull Corey defeated Lloyd McGurk and Mark Romero in 13:57. Bull Corey defeated Mark Romero by pinfall. Mark Romero 63, Lloyd McGurk 67, Bull Corey 69, Jim Henry 50, Lloyd McGurk in performance and Mark Romero in Rumble 67C+. In the Battle Fantasy Heat and Great Wrestling, Jim Bowen, Charo Oguro, and Bonnie Marr defeated Ali Yusuf, Babe Cadlock, and Sandar Sazbu in 15:03, when Charo Oguro defeated Ali Houston by pinfall. Bonnie Marr 77, Charo Oguro 53, Jim Bowen 73, Sandor Sazbu 69, Babe Cadlock 63, Alan Hughes 57, Babe Cadlock performance 70C+. Not bad. Thank you for that. In a decent match, Man Mountain Dean defeated Tiny Rubock in 14:33 by pinfall the Northern Lights suplex. Man Mountain Dean 66, Tiny Rubock 79, no opening 76B-. In an exceptional match, Jack Sherry defeated Ed the Strangler Lewis and Vic Christie in a 1v2 handicap match classic in 14:49 by 2 straight falls, with the final 4 happening. Jack Sherry defeated Ed the Strangler Lewis by pinfall with the Half Nelson driver. Jack Sherry 72, Vic Christie 76, and Van Strangler Lewis 89. Ed Strangler Lewis in Rumble, Jack Sherry in Rumble and Techno. I wanted Jack Sherry to come across as this like conquering hero in this match. I wanted to give him that 4,979. We are quite close to selling out. We only needed about 20 other people in to sell out this venue, so that's not bad. In a Battle of Fantasy and decent, great wrestling, Joe Montana defeated Bulldog Bill Gannon in 15:22 by pinfall. Bulldog Bill Gannon 64, Joe Montana 72, no requests. Originally that match, he was going to be in that match you just saw, and Vic Christie was and Ed Strangler Lewis was going to be out of that match. But because Henry DeGlane is not here tonight, he's working elsewhere, I've scheduled him not, he's not in that match, that's fine. In an exceptional match, Mr. X defeated Joe Stretch from 15:04 by pinfall. Joe Stretch 68, Mr. X 92, no work in 77B. In an exceptional match, Jim Londis defeated Ed Don George in 25:18 by pinfall the airplane spin slam. Jim Londis makes defense number 7 of his TNA World Heavyweight Championship. Ed Don George 86, Jim Londis 93. Jim Londis in performance and Ed Don George in performance an 81B. After the match, Mr. X runs out and attacks him. Of course, we've got our final match between these two coming up. I'm probably going to make this continue until October. Mr. X is going to be taking on Jim Londis one more time. But that's going to be a good one. We'll see you for that in 2 weeks. End the show there. I'm going to make some speeches because I deserve to make speeches, which is going to go to Jim Londis, Mr. X, and of course Ed, the Strangler Lewis. Praised, and praised. And we'll see you guys in 2 weeks' time for a bit more wrestling live from the Tri-States. And it'll be TNA Super Show September. On a night where a load of good wrestlers are missing because of working elsewhere, it's a night where I have to make a decision. And the decision is, there's no tag team matches on tonight's card. For the first time I believe in TNA's history, there's no tag team. But we have sold out. We've got 5,000 people at the Worcester County Centre. In a decent match, Colin McKee defeated Mighty Levy in 11:52 by submission with a backbreaker submission. Colin McKee 49, Mighty Levy 45, no opponents 49D+. In a decent match, Miles McLean defeated Toots SD in 10:07 by pinfall. Miles McLean 67, Toots SD 48, no opponents 63C. In a decent match, Salvador Flores defeated Andy Brown in 11:07 by pinfall. Andy Brown 42, Salvador Flores 47, no opponents 48D+. In a decent match, Paul Murdoch defeated Johnny Plummer in 13:08 by pinfall. Johnny Plummer 47, Paul Murdoch 61, no opponents 59C. In a decent match, Martino Angelo defeated Jim Henry in 9:59 by pinfall. Jim Henry 55, Martino Angelo 56, no opponents 658C-. In a Battle of Fantasy and Great Wrestling, Bulldog Bill Brannon defeated Joe Montana in 15:20 by pinfall. Joe Montana 68, Bulldog Bill Brannon 66. No opponent 70C+, not a bad match. In a decent match, Sheik Ali defeated Floyd Marshall in 13:06 by pinfall. Floyd Marshall 51, Sheik Mali 42. No opponents 50D+. In a Battle of Great Wrestling decent match, crowd Lloyd McGurk defeated Bull Curry in 14:47 by pinfall. Bull Corey 71, Lloyd McGurk 59. Lloyd McGurk improving the performance, and Bull Corey and Rumble 69C+. In a Battle of Good Wrestling in a decent match, crowd Mark Romero defeated Babe Caddock in 14:09 by submission. Babe Caddock in 16, Mark Romero 59. No opponent 62C. In an exceptional match, Man Mountain D defeated Joe Stretch in 14:34 by pinfall with the German suplex. Joe Stretch 80, Man Mountain Dean 67, no opponent 73B-. In a Battle of Fantasy and Great Wrestling, Ed the Strangler Lewis defeated Jesse James in 13:36 by submission with the headlock sleeper. Ed the Strangler Lewis 89, Jesse James 51, no opponent 77B. In a Battle of Fantasy and Great Wrestling, Vic Christie defeated Jack Sherry in 20:03 by pinfall. Vic Christie makes defense number 10 of the Intercontinental Championship. Jack Sherry 66, Vic Christie 65. No opponents. Jack Sherry will now be out of that storyline. 71C+. Thank God for that. In an exceptional match, Churio Guerrero defeated Ed Don George in 20:05 by pinfall. Churio Guerrero 52, Ed Don George 90. No opponents. 70C+. In an exceptional match, Mr. X defeated Jim Londis in 24:53 by 2 falls to 1 after losing the first, and the final fall happening by pinfall by using the attack. Mr. X is your TNA World Heavyweight Champion. Mr. X 92, Jim Londis 93. Mr. X in performance and Jim Londis in performance. The rest of because of lack of selling. 81B, end the show. We can't complain with that. That was a great show. Mr. X I'm going to go to Ed Don George as well as Jim Londis tonight because they all got into that 90 region with their matches. Gives us 79B, increase our popularity in 3 regions. We'll see you guys live in 2 weeks' time as we head into October. We've hit October, it's 1934. In a decent match, Paul Murdoch won a Battle Royal in 2043. The other members of the Final Four were Marty Levy, Marty Angelo, and Floyd Marshall. When Marty Levy defeated being the final eliminated, Marty Levy got the most eliminations over the course of the match. Not really interested in that. Salvador improving in performance, 58C minus. Just a massive 10-man battle royal. Thought it'd be fun to open up with. In a decent match, Toots SD defeated Colin McKee in 1507 by pinfall. Colin McKee 47, Toots SD 37. No recommendations to doing Colin 36 minus. Let's move on. In a decent match, Johnny Plummer defeated Jesse James in 12:23 by pinfall. Jesse James 49, Johnny Plummer 45. No recommendations 50D plus. In about that good heat into good wrestling, Joe Montana defeated Ali Houston in 11:32 by pinfall. Ali Houston 58, Joe Montana 70. No recommendations 68C plus. In an exceptional match, Bonnie Marr defeated Vic Christie in 15:05 by pinfall. Bonnie Marr is now your TNA Intercontinental Champion. Bonnie Marr 75, Vic Christie 82, and Vic Christie improved in points. 4,967 people in the Witchwood Grove tonight, 81B. In above a good wrestling and decent match of crowd, Bill Corey defeated Mark Herrera 14:31 by pinfall. Mark Herrera 56, Bill Corey 71. Mark Herrera in performance 68C plus. We missed that match because of an injury. That was Man Mountain Dean taking on Jack Sherry. Jack Sherry defeated Man Mountain Dean. I don't know what the rating was. But about a good wrestling and decent, good heat and decent wrestling, Bay Cadhock and Jim Henry defeated Chero Guerrero and Lloyd McGurk in 15:29. And Jim Henry defeated Chero Guerrero by pinfall. Lloyd McGurk 60, Chero 50, Jim Henry 60, and Bay Cadhock 58. Lloyd McGurk for performance 60C. In an exceptional match, Henry DeGlane defeated Bulldog Bill Groon in 20:03 by pinfall. Bulldog Bill Groon 64, Henry DeGlane 82. No equivalent 77B. Beautiful. In an exceptional match, Tiny Rubok defeated Sandor Sazbar in 14:36 by pinfall. Tiny Rubok 78, Sandor Sazbar 72. No equivalent 77B. In an exceptional match, Edward Strangler Lewis defeated Jim Bowing in 14:44. By pinfall, by submission and headlock sleeper. Jim Bowing 71, Head Struggle Lewis 89, 71C plus. In an exceptional match, Ed Don George defeated Joe Stretch for 14:56 by pinfall. Joe Stretch 73, Ed Don George 92, no work improvements, an 83B plus. Holy shit. In an exceptional match, Mr. X defeated Jim Londis in 25:03 by pinfall. He makes defense number 1 of his TNA World Heavyweight title. Jim Londis 92, Mr. X 92. Jim Londis improving performance. 82B, not really. 81B, I'm not going to do post-match speeches. Nope. Let's move on. I'll see you guys in 2 weeks for more TNA action. Hello and welcome back to the Super Show in October. 5,000 people at the Richwood Grove tonight for this show. In a decent match, Colin McKee defeated Toots Esther in 8:16 by pinfall. Colin McKee 44, Toots Esther 39. No work improvements. 44D, not bad. In about that decent wrestling, in about that decent match card was subpar wrestling. Marty Levy defeated Andy Brown in 8:4 by pinfall. Marty Levy 40, Andy Brown 40. No request 42D. In a decent match, Salvador Flores defeated Myers McLean in 7:49 by pinfall. Salvador Flores 15, Myers McLean 64. No work for 61C. In a decent match, Sheikh Ali defeated Martino Angelo in 8:12 by pinfall. Martino Angelo 60, Sheikh Ali 50. No work for 59C. In a decent match, Gentleman Jim Lewis defeated Paul Murdoch in 8:24 by pinfall. Paul Murdoch 55, Gentleman Jim Lewis 46. Lewis in technical performance. Well done, Gentleman Jim Lewis. In about that good wrestling and decent action from the crowd, Floyd Marshall defeated Bull Corey in 12:24 by pinfall. Bull Corey 70, Floyd Marshall 48. Bull Corey in technical 65C. Beautiful. In a decent match, Mark Romero defeated Al Flesh in 7:48 by pinfall. Mark Romero 57, Al Flesh 50. No recommends 56C minus, not bad. In a decent good match, Bulldog Bill Grunnen defeated Laurie McGurk in 7:45 by pinfall. Bulldog Bill Grun 68, Laurie McGurk 58. Laurie McGurk in performance 67C plus. In a decent match, Jesse James defeated Jim Henry in 8:22 by pinfall. Jim Henry 61, Jesse James 49, no careers 659C. In a good match, Joe Montana defeated Johnny Plummer in 802 by pinfall. Johnny Plummer 51, Joe Montana 67, no careers 64C. Not bad. In an exceptional match, Bonnie Marr defeated Vic Christie in 15-21 by pinfall. Bonnie Marr makes defense number 1 of his TNA Intercontinental Championship. Vic Christie 80, Bonnie Marr 74, Vic Christie in performance at 82B. In above our great heat and decent wrestling, Charo Guerrero defeated Bay Cantock in 818 by pinfall. Charo Guerrero 53, Bay Cantock 61, no records 61C. In above our fantastic heat and good wrestling, Jim Browning defeated Ali Eustace in 15-13 by pinfall. Ali Eustace 58, Jim Browning 62, Jim Browning in performance 62C. In an exceptional match, Henry DeGlane defeated Man Mountain Dean in 15-17 by pinfall. Man Mountain Dean 65, Henry DeGlane 82, no worker in 77B. In an exceptional match, Ed Don George defeated Tiny Rubok in 15-11 by pinfall. Tiny Rubok 78, Ed Don George 85, no worker in 71C+. In an exceptional match, Jim Londis and Joe Stretch defeated Mr. X and Ed Strangler Lewis in 24-56 when Joe Stretch defeated Ed Strangler Lewis by pinfall. Mr. X sustained a... Oh, nice. Joe Stretch 76, Jim Londis 88, Ed Strangler Lewis 83, Mr. X 82, Jim Londis in performance. That's where we're going to end the show with an 80B. Quiz of popularity in 30 regions. We're just going to continue, and I'll see you guys in 2 weeks as we hit into November. We are live and uncensored in front of 5,000 people at Witchwood Grove for TNA Wrestling, All-Star Wrestling. In a decent match, Gentleman Jim Lewis, Sheik Ma'ali, Al Fresh and Mars McLean defeated Martina Angelo, Paul Murdoch, Salvador Flores and Marty Levy. In 15:05, and Sheik Ma'ali defeated Marty Levy by pinfall. Marty Levy 47, Salvador Flores 52, Paul Murdoch 54, Marty Angelo 56, Mars McLean 61, Al Flesh 47, Sheik Ma'ali 53, and Gentleman Jim Lewis 40. Marty Levy in performance and Gentleman Jim Lewis in performance of 57C-. In a decent match, Toots Hester defeated Andy Brown in 740 by pinfall. Toots Hester 48, Andy Brown at 43, no worker in 49D+. In above our good wrestling and decent match crowd, Baker Out, Bulldog, Bill Grun and Colin McCree and Bull Conley defeat Bonnie Marr, Mike Rano, Lloyd McGo, Floyd Marshall in 15-51. Bull Corey defeat Bonnie Marr by pinfall. Floyd Marshall 51, Lloyd McGurk 59, Mark Romero 59, Bonnie Marr 77, Bull Corey 69, Colin McKee 60, Bulldog, Bill Gannon 71, and Babe Cantox 58. Because of that, in November, that's because we're in November now, who knew? It's going to be, where is he? Bonnie Marr taking on Bull Corey for the Intercontinental title. We're moving it back down towards the mid-card section of the roster for a bit. It's 72B-. I can't complain with that. Any improvements? Lloyd McGurk in performance, Mike Romero in Rumble in performance, and Bill Corey in Techno. 72B-. Not bad at all. In a decent match, Jim Henry defeated Jesse James in 11:37 by submission. Jesse James 47, Jim Henry 60, no opponents 58C-. In an exceptional match, Sandor Sazbo defeated Joe Montana in 12:50 by pinfall, the ring lock suplex. Joe Montana 68, Sandor Sazbo 73. Sandor Sazbo improving in performance, 73B-. Not bad at all. In above a fantasy and good wrestling, Tiny Rubok defeated Johnny Plummer in 9:59 by pinfall. Johnny Plummer 52, Tiny Rubok 77, no worker in 71C+. In an exceptional match, Ed Don George defeated Cho Orori in 13:59 by pinfall. Cho Orori 51, Ed Don George 90, no worker in 78B. In an exceptional match, Ali Eustace defeated Jim Londis in 14:50 by pinfall. Ali Eustace 58, Jim Londis 91. Jim Londis in performance, beautifully done. My cats are running in mock downstairs. Going to do that. 14:50, 66C+, not bad. And Jim Londis improving in performance, which is nice. 66C+, nice to see Jim Londis doing good. In above fantasy and great wrestling, Mad Mountain D defeated Jim Browning in 14:41 by pin with the double unduck suplex. Jim Browning 75, Man Mountain Dean 66, Jim Browning in performance, 73B-. In the exceptional match, Henry DeGlane defeated Ed the Strangler Lewis and Vic Christie in a 1v2 handicap classic match with 15-08 by 2 straight falls, with the final fight happening when Henry DeGlane defeated Vic Christie by pinfall. Henry DeGlane 82, Vic Christie 77, and Edgar Strong Lewis 88. Vic Christie improving in performance skills 81B. In an exceptional match, Mr. X defeated Joe Stretch in 29-46 by pinfall. He makes events number 2 of his world title. Joe Stretch 76, Mr. X 82. No opponent was slowed by his injury. That's where we end tonight's All-Star show of 76B-. Increased our popularity across 3 regions, of course, with our radio deal. And we'll see you in 2 weeks' time. Thank you for watching. Alright then, we're going to get freaky-dicky with it down here in TNA Wrestling in 1934. Hello everyone. I'm going out in a little bit, so I'm only going to be able to get probably one video recorded this morning. So all of this was recorded yesterday. Once I got to episode 9, I knew there was going to be 12 episodes to this, or 13, including, looking at the NGO Awards and having a look at TNA Wrestling year in review at that same time, which would be a bit of a longer video. I kind of had a break at episode 9 because it's alright when you're recording something like Impact Wrestling Weekly, Impact Wrestling 1987, Ring of Honor, and WCW. Having just that weekly show, kind of makes it a lot easier for you to book and a lot quicker as well to do the episodes when you've got like 2 weeks apart of the show. So I've made the decision that I'm going to start doing radio wrestling. We're going to have the TNA radio show, which is going to be every week, and then we're going to get rid of the TNA All-Star show, which is our second show. And we're going to get rid of that, and we're just going to have the TNA Super shows and the TNA Radio shows starting off January 1935. I'm changing history a bit, but we're going to have some... Tonight, there is no tag matches. I've gone for a bit of a more traditional style of wrestling show from what this era was, and because of that, we've got in a decent pre-show match, Gentleman Jim Lewis defeating Toots SD in 8-6 by pinfall. 52D plus, Gentleman Jim Lewis 48, Toots SD 50. Gentleman Jim Lewis in performance. Calm down now! Thank you. In a decent pre-show match, Sheik Ali defeated Salvador Flores in 7:48 by pinfall. Salvador Flores 49, Sheik Ali 49. No equalities, just pre-show matches. Because I wanted to put all the... So how I've done this show is traditional. I don't know if that bar's going to go. In a decent pre-show match, Marty Levy defeated Eli Flesh in 7:48. Marty Levy 48, Eli Flesh 49. No work improvements. This bar is going to be sticking around. I'm trying to find a way of getting rid of it, but he doesn't seem to want to go. Any work improvements? No work improvements at all. Let's get rid of the internet. Yeah, that bar doesn't want to go. Well, whatever. In about that decent wrestling and good heat, Bunny Mar defeated Bull Croy in 15:24 in our opening contest. I don't know how to get rid of that. In about that superb wrestling and great good heat, Bunny Mar defeated Bull Croy in 15:24 by pinfall. He makes events number 2 of the Independent title. Bunny Mar 79, Bull Croy 72. Bunny Mar performance, Bull Croy in Techno and 80B. Not bad. In about that good wrestling and decent wrestling crowd, Martino Angelo defeated Myers McLean in 14:52 by pinfall. Martino Angelo 57, Myers McLean 62. Myers McLean in flying and Martino Angelo in performance 62C. In a decent match, Paul Murdoch defeated Johnny Plummer in 14:49 by pinfall. Johnny Plummer 50, Paul Murdoch 54. No offense 55C-. We are sold out tonight at Richwood Grove, so this idea might have worked. In a decent match, Floyd Marshall defeated Jim Henry in 14:52 by pinfall. Jim Henry 53, Floyd Marshall 51. No work moments. He's improving in Rumble 49D plus. In a decent match, Andy Brown defeated Jesse James in 15:25 by pinfall. Jesse James 48, Andy Brown 41. No weapons 48D plus. In about a good wrestling and good heat and decent wrestling, Joe Montana defeated Colic McKee in 14:31 by submission. Joe Montana 70, Colic McKee 46. No weapons 64C, not bad. Trying to get rid of that ball. In a good match, Mike Morero defeated Bulldog Bill Grannon in 14:44 by pinfall. Mike Morero 59, Bulldog Bill Grannon 69, no work improvement 68C plus. In about that good wrestling and a decent wrestling crowd, Lloyd McGurk defeated Bev Cadhock in 14:56 by submission. Bev Cadhock 64, Lloyd McGurk 63, no work improvement 67C plus. In about her fantasy and good wrestling, Sandor Sazbo defeated Jack Sherry in 14:31 by pin of the ring lock suplex. Jack Sherry 66, Sandor Sazbo 59. Jack Sherry in form 66E plus. In about her fantasy heat and great wrestling, Henry DeGlane defeated Ali Houston's in 14:50 by pinfall. Ali Houston's 55, Henry DeGlane 82. No other 74B minus. In about fantasy in decent wrestling, Charo Aguero defeated Vic Christie in 14:45 by pinfall. Vic Christie 64, Charo Aguero 39. No occurrence. Nice little match there, 30, 57C minus. Not the best for them two. In about fantasy in good rate wrestling, Jim Bowring defeated Man Mountain Dean in 12:50 by pinfall. Jim Bowring 72, Man Mountain Dean 64. Jim Bowring form 71C plus. In about this exceptional match, Ed the Strangler Lewis defeated Tiny Rubok in 1943, by submission headlock sleeper. Tiny Rubok 74, Ed the Strangler Lewis 87. Tiny Rubok in performance 71C plus. Excuse the bar at the bottom, I can't get rid of it. In the exceptional match, Ed Don George defeated Jim Londis in 25:10 by submission. Jim Londis 91, Ed Don George 91. Jim Londis informs not because of the lack of colour commentary, because obviously the colour commentator is getting better at that now, but because of the lack of selling, that's not a problem. 71C plus. In an exceptional match, Mr. X defeated Joe Stretch in 30:30 by pinfall. He makes defense number 3 of his TNA World title with 30 minutes 30. 77B. Joe Stretch 77, Mr. X 84. Joe Stretch for his retirement. Mr. X slowed by his injury. No work improvements. We're going to end the show there with 76B minus. Increase our popularity for regions. I'll see you guys in 2 weeks' time, and that'll probably be done this afternoon. Thanks for watching. This coming Tuesday is our 1 year anniversary as we celebrate 1 year in the business in 1934 as we hit December. But ladies and gentlemen, this is TNA All Stars, and we've got a tag team division has been born out of the ashes of tag team wrestling. It's took me a year to do it, but it has arrived. Let's get this started in front of 5,821 people at the Philadelphia Arena tonight. I didn't set the venue, the game did it. So, in a decent match, Fear Factory defeated the Ring Generals in 14:33 when Johnny Plummer defeated Paul Murdoch by pinfall. So Marty Levy 37, Paul Murdoch 46, who are known as the Ring Generals. Johnny Plummer 51 and Gentleman Jim Lewis 55. They're known as Fear Factory. Now, I've got the issue of Paul Murdoch and Marty Levin absolutely zero chemistry. Marty Levin performance right. So the Ring Generals will change. Paul Murdoch will be put with someone else because them two don't have any chemistry. But Johnny Plummer and Gentleman Jim Lewis have excellent chemistry when teaming together, which is great. They're 52D plus. Can't complain with that. Welcome to the brand new tag team division. In a decent match, Eli Flesh, Sheik Ali, Mars McLean, Bulldog Bill Gannon defeated Mike Marrero, Martino Angelo, Floyd Marshall, and Salvador Flores in 15:20, where Miles McLean defeated Mark Romero by pinfall. Salvador Flores 50, Floyd Marshall 55, Martino Angelo 61, Mark Romero 60, Bulldog Bill Gannon 64, Miles McLean 61, Sheik Ali 51, and El Flesh 47. Mark Romero in Rumble and Sheik Ali in performance. So I'm thinking Salvador Flores and Paul Murdoch is where I'm going now. Mark Romero and probably Floyd Marshall are going to be a team. Sheik Ali and Mars McLean might be, and I don't know yet. I'll do it off screen, sort that out. In about a good wrestling and decent match, crowd, Lauren McGurk defeated Colic McKee in 15:05 by submission. Lauren McGurk 61, Colic McKee 60, no work for 63C. Colin McGee debuted in a new spot that had got great heel heat. His psychology will be helped to use this as a go-to spot in the future. In about a good heat and decent, good wrestling, Jim Henry defeated Joe Montana in 14:35 by submission. Jim Henry 57, Joe Montana 71. No work for 69C plus. In a decent match, the Killers defeated Lethal Injection in 15:12 when Toots Esther defeat Babe. Excuse me. Defeat Babe Caddock by pinfall. The Killers win the TNA World Tag Team titles. Toots Esther 48, Jesse James 54, Babe Caddock 59, Andy Brown 49. No equivalents. So yeah, the Killers are your first ever TNA World Tag Team Champions. The idea will be there will be 6 tag teams, 3 faces, 3 heels. I've only got 4 at the moment, so I need another 2, and also I need to change one around. That's fine, that's not an issue. An exceptional match, Len Masculis debuts defeating Vic Christie in 15-15 by pinfall. Len Mascula 67, Vic Christie 77. No recommend 75B minus, not bad. And in the next social match, Ernie Dusky defeated Henry DeGlane in 15-19 by submission. Henry DeGlane 82 and Ernie Dus 5th 85. No recommend 81B. 2 debuts. In Above Fantasy and Great Wrestling, Jack Sherry defeated Man Mountain Drew Dean in 14-15 by pinfall half Nelson Driver. Jack Sherry 68, Man Mountain Dean 64. Jack Sherry Flying and Performance 70C+. In a superb match, Bonnie Marr defeated Bull Curry in 20 minutes 23 by pinfall. Bonnie Marr is to run number 3 of his Intercontinental Championship. Bull Curry 70, Bonnie Marr 68. Bull Curry in Technical 73B minus. In the next section match, Jim Barron defeated Ali Houston in 15-15 by pinfall. Jim Barron 88, Ali Houston 56. Jim Barron and Ali Houston in Performance 78B. In Above Fantasy and Great Wrestling, Ed Don George defeated Charo Aguero in 14-59 by pinfall. Ed Don George 92, Charo Aguero 45. No recommend 77B. In the next section match, Joe Stretch defeated Sandor Sazbar in 14-40 by pinfall. Joe Stretch 73, Sando Sazbar 71. No work improvements. Sando Sazbar is fully ruptured bicep tendon, 70C+. That's fine. In the next section match, Jim Londis defeated Ed the Strangler Lewis in 25-18 by pinfall airplay slam. Jim Londis 91, Ed the Strangler Lewis 88. Ed the Strangler Lewis in Rumble, Jim Londis in Performance 83B. And then in the next social match, Tiny Rubuck defeated Mr. X in 24-49, but Mr. X is counted out after being attacked by Joe Stretch. Tiny Rubuck 77, Mr. X 84. No work improvements. Super Show in December. After that brutal attack, there'll be 3 matches happening. There's going to be the Bonnie Marr versus Bill Curry, the final match in this lavish food. Yeah, that's going to be going ahead. We're also going to get Mr. X versus Joe Stretch, who I think is now back in the main event, where he should be anyway. You can see who Mr. X is, sorry. Yeah, because he's got 78 popularity. Il McCready's behind the mask, by the way, guys, because he normally worked as the mask Mr. X. Mr. X is going to become a permanent part of the company, so I'm not really bothered about showing you who it is, because I'm thinking the idea behind Mr. X is going to be like Mr. Wrestling or, Tiger Mask. There's always a new one coming about. So we're going to end the show there. I guess 77B+. I'm going to give it to Jim where is it? Jim Londis. Ed Don George as well, because he did fucking amazing, as always. And also Ed the Strangler Lewis pointed out as good examples. And we'll see you guys in 2 weeks. We'll be 1 year in the business, and I'll get the Super Show December set up and these tag teams sorted. Thanks for watching. 5,600 people have packed out the Philadelphia Arena, which holds a lot more than that, tonight here with Total Non-Stop Action Wrestling's Slammiversary 1. Welcome, my friends. In a decent match, Lethal Injection defeated the Ring Generals in 1506 when Babe Haddock defeated Salvador Flores by pinfall. Salvador Flores 46, Paul Murdoch 60, Andy Brown 47, Babe Haddock 57, Babe Haddock in Performance 57C-. In a decent match, Sheik Mali defeated Marty Levy in 13-21 by pinfall. Marty Levy 43, Sheik Mali 53, no work improvements. In a decent match, Eli Flesh defeated Martino Angelo in 13-46 by pinfall of Flying in Tackle. Martino Angelo 59, Eli Flesh 50, no work improvements 58C-. In a good match, the Machine Guns defeated Heavy Duty in 15-01 when Jim Henry defeated Mike Marrero by pinfall. I saw that these two had excellent chemistry last time we put them up together. Salome Girk 66, Mark Marrero 63, Jim Henry 61, Bulldog Bill Gannon 68, Lloyd McGurk in Performance and Mark Marrero in Rumble. So I had to make them a team when I looked at our chemistry. In a decent match, Floyd Marshall defeated Myers McLean in 12 minutes 57 by pinfall. Floyd Marshall 45, Myers McLean 54, 53C-. In a good match, Collick McKee defeated Joe Montana in 12-19 by pinfall. Joe Montana 66, Collick McKee 58. No record in 66C+. In a decent match, the Killers defeat Fear Factory in 15-11. When Jesse James defeats Johnny Plummer by pinfall, the Killers make defense number 1 of their World Tag Team titles. Johnny Plummer 51, Gentleman Jim Lewis 56, Toots SD 48, Jesse James 53, Gentleman Jim Lewis and Rumble. And these guys have a good chemistry. 61, it's not bad. In the next session match, Henry DeGlane defeated Ernie Dusk in 12:48 by pinfall. Henry DeGlane 82, Ernie Dusk 78. Henry DeGlane in Rumble and Ernie Dusk in Performance 78B. In the Battle of Fantasy Heat and Great Wrestling, Jack Sherry defeated Vic Christie in 14-40 by pinfall the half Nelson Driver. Jack Sherry 73, Vic Christie 66. Vic Christie in Technical, Jack Sherry in Rumble and Performance, not bad. In the Battle of Superb Wrestling and Great Heat, Bonnie Mar defeated Bill Corey in 24-52 by pinfall. Bonnie Mar makes defense number 4 of the Intercontinental title. Bill Corey 72, Bonnie Mar 74, Bill Corey in Technical, 77B. In the Battle of Fantasy Heat and Good Wrestling, Charlie Guerrero and Len Muscott defeated Ali Houston's in a 1v2 handicap classic match of 15-18 by 2 straight falls. The final fight when Charlie Guerrero defeated Ali Houston's by pinfall. Len Muscott was head and shoulders the next. Charlie Guerrero was the weak link. Ali Houston 62, Len 71, and Chero 50. No Crown 66 plus. In an exceptional match, Jim Bowen, Tiny Rubuck, and Jim London defeated Ed the Strangler Lewis, Ed Don George, and Man Mountain Dean in 15-25, and Tiny Rubuck defeated Ed the Strangler Lewis by pinfall. Jim London 91, Tiny Rubuck 74, Jim Bowen 87, Man Mountain Dean 63, Ed Don George 89, and Ed the Strangler Lewis 88. Jim London and Jim Bowen both in Performance and 82B. In an exceptional match, Mr. X defeated Joe Stretch in 24-55 by pinfall. Mr. X makes match number 5 of the TNA World title. Joe Stretch 77, Mr. X 81. No work improvements. That's where we end tonight's show. With 76B minus, increase our popularity in 3 regions. We'll see you guys live right here in a couple of ticks when we all go over a year in review. Well, welcome back to the year in review. Hello everyone, hope you're enjoying this series because I'm really enjoying it. I'm learning a lot of history, like Alcatraz and watching how 1934 was the start of the rise of Hitler and some I can't remember the other guy's name from Italy. How you all doing? You having fun? So yeah, rest of the year for the first time is Jim Bowing has been declared rest of the year. Company of the year is Olympic, which was set out of the Southwest. Match of the year was hosted in June when NA Dust defeated Jim Bowen for the Harvest Milk Fund. I saw this match actually, and I thought, here you go, the benefits of the Harvest Milk Fund. They haven't had a lot of shows in 1934. They only do their monthly events and occasional ones. But yes, so Jim London defeated. What match was it? That one. Yeah, only Dust defeated Jim Bowen in the 99. Yeah, that's definitely a match of the year. Show of the year goes to Olympic. Has been won by OW Wrestling. History. So we'll look and see if we can find out. OW Wrestling, is that the only one? There's loads of OW Wrestling, but I think it'll be this one. OW Live Wrestling. Yeah, see that's the only OW Wrestling bouts. I've now lost it. Yeah, so that with a 88B plus and a 94 main event. Of course Olympic's going to win that. Young Wrestler of the Year goes to Vic Christie. So we've got not only the Wrestler of the Year, but we've also got the Young Wrestler of the Year on our thing. Veteran of the Year, Ed the Strangler Lewis. We've got him as well on our roster. Female Wrestler of the Year was Dolly Doughton. I've been interested in that. Most importantly, usable for the first time is American Company Sports Promotion Engineers. They have had a great 1934. So not even us. The Manager of the Year has been picked up by Walter Miller. Announcer of the Year goes to Gordon Hunt. Colour Commentator of the Year goes to Blind Peter. Ref of the Year goes to Ed Braidsley. We didn't win any awards apart from we've got the rest of the year. So we're going to have a quick look at the top Power 500. So Jim Bowing is on top. Tiny Rubuck, Jim Londus, Ernie Dusk, Joe Salvador. Have we even got you on the roster? I've been tempted to keep hiring you, and the answer is no. So now you're a bit further up on that 500. I'll bring you in. You want more money? Yikes. Not too much. Ed Strangler, Gus Cunley. I haven't even got you. And I've been wanting to get you, but you're 42. That's what's putting me off. Sod it. Bring him in. There you go. We've got that side. Vic Christie, Buddy Mars, Sandor Silver, and then it goes into a bit of a weird one. But yeah, we've had quite a good year. The death of Pitt. Okay, we're not going to be looking at that. So yeah, today we're going to be having a look at a few things. We're going to have a go into the inactive first. So we took over Albuquerque Arena Club. We then took over Charlie Grip Promotions. Coast was closed in December of 1932. I don't really know, too much about that because that's obviously not one that closed this year. That was closed in July of 1993 before we were even in the database because we're in 1935. This was taken over by TNA. I took this one over in this promotions. I had the money at the time. Ex-Servicemen Wrestling Union was closed in December 1930. I don't know why. This was closed in September. This one closed down, which was King Sport TN. That closed down. The Montana Athletic Club closed in November. Manoas Boxing and Wrestling Club closed in November 1934. One Big Union closed in January 1993 before we were around. Richmond Wrestling went bankrupt in November 1934. Sacramento was taken over by us, but another one that went down. The Savoy AC went bankrupt in December 1934. Shamrock went bankrupt in August 1934. Southside Athletic Club went bankrupt in June. And WA went bankrupt in December of this month. So a lot of companies have gone bankrupt. We've had a great year and we are in debt, which is a bit of an issue. We have no shows yet this year. We started in 1933 in the December with a beautiful event, 76B- for our first event when Henry DeGlane defeated Bill Corey for the world title. And we just kept expanding from there. As you can see, we've had, over the course of that year, 43. That means we've done 44 events. So yeah, we've had good events, we've had some bad events. You can see our product just started getting better and better and better until we started hitting a kind of constant with the ratings around about an 80. Occasional shows where we've been having Dr. X and that in the main event has failed. So we're going to get on with what I said we're going to do, which is removing All-Star Wrestling. All-Star Wrestling is gone. Our next event would be the Super Show Jam. It's not going to be. We're going to go to broadcasting. This is the radio we're working with, TV controls. Let's create a TV show. I'm just going to Hollywood Auditorium Radio. I'm not sure why there's not many. I'll have to sort that out after me. TNA Wrestling. I can't spell today. On the radio. If I spell radio wrong, I'm sorry. 1 hour. I'm going to pull it on a Tuesday night because I think that's a good night to go on. So TNA Wrestling Weekly TV. It's a TV show. When we get TV come in, I'm going to go for see if we can get late evening. Nope. 9 months. They only won't allow me to do this 9 months. And I feel we're going to have to go to Graveyard. That's fine. So yeah, that's kind of what we're doing now. We're going to do that. I'm going to have a quick look at my calendar. We can see that we've got everyone available. I'm going to have it air on a Tuesday. We're going to pre-tape the radio show. We're going to pre-tape this. We're going to tape it on a Monday. And they're going to air it on a Tuesday, which is fine. So yeah, we're going to see that in the next episode. That's going to be episode number 3. We'll see how the radio show does for us when we do our first one from 1935. And, we're getting to 1939 when World War II comes about. We'll see how that affects the product. But thank you for watching, guys. Episode number 2 of this series. I'm absolutely loving it. I have to take breaks because of how long it takes to do an episode. But I'm going to be sticking to a rule with this episode, this company, unlike with Ring of Honor. You will get 3 months at a time, so January, February, March. April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, and then some of those. Depending on what happens, because I'm going to be very busy over the next week. Quite literally, I've got so much going on. I've got a wedding to go to here and stuff. This is next week's episode. If I've got time after that within the week to sit down and record this and record the other episodes, we might have to miss a week of no wrestling. But it's classified as television because that's how they have it. But as you can see, it is commercial. It is a radio show. It is. I think KNX was a radio. Should we do a bit of history? Let's do a bit of history research for you. And it's KNX. I hate my computer sometimes. I seriously do. Oh God. KNX. I'm going to probably get in trouble with all the news. You can probably work out what day we're looking at. This KNX radio. Yeah, broadcasting on 107 KS in Los Angeles, California. It is one of the. Let's go to the Wikipedia, shall we? KNX AM. The station studios, Thread Sisters, and it was having received its first broadcast license KGC in December 1921. In addition, it traced in its history September 1920. So yeah, it's around origins. So yeah, there's a. So yeah, that's quite good. So we're gonna be on this radio station like we have been anyway, but that just shows you that they are radio stations. Even though the game registers them as TV, I'm going to be treating it like a radio station. But I want to thank you all for watching. I hope you're enjoying this series. I'm going to go away, edit this together, and then I'm going to go make my lunch, and I'm going to come back and probably try and get a WCW Nitro and Thunder recorded this afternoon. Thank you for watching.